Hello learners, welcome to this third video of the unit entitled Secularism, Its Nature and Secularism in India. I am Dr. Jahnabi Devi, Assistant Professor, Discipline of Political Science, Krishnakanta Handigoy, State Open University. This unit is included in the module number 10 of the MOOC on Social and Political Philosophy. In the first video of this unit, we have discussed the concept of secularism in general and its features. The second video dealt with the issues of secularism in Indian context. In that video, we have discussed the tenet of Indian secularism, peculiar characteristics or nature of Indian secularism, and secular provisions inserted in the Constitution of India. This third video will basically deal with the views of Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru regarding secularism. Again, we shall also analyze various challenges to secularism in India. So learner, let's begin with the discussion on Mahatma Gandhi's views on secularism. Mahatma Gandhi, the father of Indian nation, offered a very significant views regarding secularism. Gandhi's views on secularism were deeply influenced by his spiritual and philosophical ideologies and beliefs. Gandhi's approach towards secularism was comprehensive in nature, which includes respecting all religions and ensuring that people of different faiths lived in harmony with each other. Gandhi's respect for Hinduism doesn't mean that he was a firm Hindu and had hatred for other religions. In fact, Gandhi believed in the inherent goodness of all religions. He was opposed to the idea of a partial attitude of the state towards a particular religion. He was of the view that the state shouldn't compel any person to follow a particular religion. He did not advocate state religion. Gandhi believed that the state interference in person's religion would probably always be unwelcome. Religion, for him, was purely a personal matter. Gandhi was opposed to state aid to any religious institutions. He was against the sectarian religious teachings in the state institution. He wanted religious education to be the exclusive concern of the religious association. He regarded religion as a matter of private judgment. Gandhi did not like the organized agencies of state to meddle with the religious consideration of the people. Gandhi's religious mindedness did not detract a bit from his concept of secularism. Gandhi's interpretation of religion and non-advocacy of state religion became the cornerstone of the Indian Constitution. Right to freedom of religion and cultural and educational right, the two fundamental rights, embody Gandhi's ideas, widely appreciated by the Indian leaders and the architects of the Indian Constitution. Gandhi always stood for communal amity and unity. Hence, he urged the Congress party to adopt ideal of secular state. Even the worst communal riots did not deter Gandhi from holding faith in secularism and humanity. Gandhi always reminded Indians that they constituted one nation with different religions. Hence, they must have mutual understanding and mutual tolerance, the base of a secular state. So learners, we can say that Mahatma Gandhi always advocated for respect for all religion. Gandhi believed in the fundamental truth and value of all the religions. He did not see secularism as the rejection of religion, but rather as a means of ensuring that no religion had supremacy over others. In his view, secularism was a way of fostering mutual respect and understanding among people of different faith, and it should not be confused with indifference to religion. His stance was rooted in the idea of Sarva Dharma Sama Bhava, which means all religions are equal. Again, Gandhi also believed in the unity and religious tolerance. He believed that India's strength lay in its diversity, including religious diversity, and secularism meant promoting tolerance, peaceful coexistence, and harmony among all the religious communities. Gandhi advocated for communal unity, and he worked tirelessly to reduce religious violence, particularly between Hindus and Muslims during Indian independence movement. Through the concept of secularism, Gandhi advocated the principle of non-violence. Non-violence, one of the core principles of Gandhian thought, was central to his approach to secularism. He urged that true secularism meant practicing love, non-violence and respect for others regardless of their religious belief. This approach directly connected with his views on religious tolerance. To him, peace was not possible without understanding and respect between different religious groups. Mahatma Gandhi was a true champion of spiritual secularism. For Gandhi, secularism was not absence of religion in public life, but the promotion of spirituality in a way that surpassed religious boundaries. He practiced and promoted spiritual secularism, where a person's ethical life centered on truth and non-violence was independent of the dogmas of any particular religion. This meant that he saw secularism as a part of broader moral and spiritual framework. Gandhi's views on secularism and politics is also of great significance. Gandhi's political life and thoughts were shaped by his belief that politics should not be influenced by religion, but they should encourage ethical conduct that supported all people equally, regardless of their faith. He believed in a state that did not favor any particular religion, but rather ensured that the rights of all religious communities are protected. Again, Gandhi saw no contradiction between practicing religion and participating in public life. For him, religious values like truth and non-violence were very necessary for public morality. However, he opposed the use of religion as a tool for political or sectarian purposes, and he was adamant that the state shouldn't be controlled by religious leaders and religious agendas. Therefore, we can say that Gandhi's vision of secularism was based on the idea of religious pluralism, where people of all faiths could coexist in mutual respect, working towards the common good without one religion dominating over others. Gandhi's secularism was deeply spiritual, rooted in the conviction that humanity shared common values that transcend religious differences. Thus, for Gandhi, secularism was not a rejection of religion, but rather the practice of universal tolerance and peace. Learners, after discussing Mahatma Gandhi's opinion on secularism, now let's examine Jawaharlal Nehru's views on secularism. Secularism, according to Nehru, was not only a political doctrine, but a social one, embracing all religions and communities in India. Secularism didn't mean irreligion or any material well-being. It contained spiritual elements as well. Nehru made India a secular state. In fact, Nehru did not discriminate against any religion. He emphasized that unity of the country, for which secularism was indispensable. So, for Nehru, for the unity of India, secularism must be observed. While discussing Nehru's concept of secularism, we can say that for Nehru, secularism was equal to religious freedom. It means that granting equal status to all the religions in India. No religion should be granted any special privileges. No community should be deprived of its legitimate rights on the basis of religion. Nehru also emphasized the need of elimination of all social inequalities. According to him, a caste-ridden society cannot be a secular state. Though he was opposed to the interference with anybody's personal belief, yet if these beliefs become petrified in caste division, they affected the social structure of the state. Hence, society to be rid of such belief. Secondly, Nehru believed in neutrality of the state in religious matters. Secular state means a state not tied to any particular religion. Nehru always deprecated the talk of Hindu Raj or the Muslim Raj. He stood for people's Raj. He wanted the state to follow policy of coexistence of all religions. The state should not try to interfere upon religious freedom. Nehru condemned the decision of the Pakistan Constituent Assembly to declare Pakistan as an Islamic state. Such a policy was opposed to democracy as it created two classes of citizens, one having more opportunities, the other less. Nehru also advocated for secularism in social life. Nehru regarded secularism as the indispensable feature of a modern democratic society. Modern India was not supposed to adopt a theocratic concept of a state, because every state in modern world, with the exception of one or two or three, was secular. He recognized that Hinduism and Islam had deeply penetrated into Indian social life. They lay down codes and rules and expect every adherent to follow them because of their religious sanctity and authority. He realized the existence of different sets of laws governing different religious communities was inconsistent with the ideal of a secular society. Hence, he tried to devise a uniform civil code for the entire Indian community without discrimination on the basis of caste and religion. Though Nehru took religion as a purely personal affair and did not wish to interfere with any person's belief, yet he objected strongly to intervention of religion in social and political life. Nehru thus worked for the establishment of a state which protects all religions but doesn't favor one at the expense of the other and does not itself adopt any religion as the state religion. Nehru also considered secularism as an attitude of mind. According to Nehru, secularism meant a certain mental attitude on the part of various communities. India, being an abode of many religions, is in dire necessity of such an attitude which can bring about harmony and develop a feeling of fraternity among these religions. He did not like any religion to interfere with the other or challenge the basic conception of a state. Nehru was quite clear in his mind that the realization of the secular ideal depended largely upon the attitude of the majority community towards the minorities. Nehru strongly believed that narrow and aggressive attitude on the part of the majority community was apt to create apprehension in the minds of any minority group in India. Nehru expected minorities also to be tolerant. He therefore urged both to cultivate broad outlook and not to adopt attitudes which are detrimental to the integrity of the India and unity of the nation. It looks like Nehru's secularism was the practical necessity in India. It was the solution to the problems of religious diversities and mutual intolerance. Abolition of separate electorates and substitution of joint electorates was the first attempt in this regard. Certain fundamental rights like right to religion, cultural and educational rights, and right to equality, and certain objectives incorporated in the directive principles of state policy constituted another attempt to develop India into a secular state. In a nutshell, we can say that Nehru's views on secularism include equal treatment of all the religions. Nehru emphasized that India should respect and protect the rights of all religious groups. Again, Nehru also strongly advocated for separation of religion and politics. Nehru firmly believed that religion should not influence political decision making. Through secularism, Nehru advocated for promotion of national integration. For Nehru, secularism was also a tool for national integration. Given the religious diversity in India, Nehru believed that secularism would promote unity by diminishing the role of religion in politics and allowing people of different faith to live together peacefully. Nehru always strived for social and economic development of the country, and his views on secularism was closely linked to his vision for modernizing India. He advocated for a scientific approach to solve social and economic issues where religion did not dictate policy or the allocation of resources. Nehru's idea of secularism was progressive, focusing on uplifting marginalized groups without biasness based on religion. Nehru always worked for the promotion of education and scientific temper. Nehru promoted the idea of a secular education system where students were taught to think critically, scientifically, and rationally. He viewed education as an essential tool for fostering a secular mindset free from the influence of religious dogma. So, we can say that Nehru's views on secularism was about creating an inclusive, tolerant, and rational society. He believed that for India to prosper, it needed to ensure that religious identity did not play a disruptive role in governance and that people of all faiths could coexist peacefully while focusing on economic development and modernity. Learner, now let's examine the challenges to secularism in India. India is well known for its cultural diversity with respect to language and religion. Hindus constitute the majority while Muslims constitute the largest minority. The hostility between Hindus and Muslims was largely the creation of the British rule in India. In order to keep themselves in power, the Britishers adopted the policy of divide and rule and tried to promote feelings of hostility among the members of these two communities. After a long history of independence, at present too, the lack of proper adjustment between them has often resulted in violence and communal riots, which unfortunately become a serious challenge to the secular identity of our country. On the other hand, very often the political parties, including some national parties, sometimes do not allow secularism to take precedence over their political interest. The electorate in India, guided by tradition, tends to be responsive to the appeals based on caste, religion, and language. By announcing various schemes for favoring a particular community, political parties openly violate the idea of secularism they claim to stand for. While distributing tickets during election, some political parties take religion of the candidate into consideration. Such practice in India poses its greatest threat to secularism. Some of the challenges to secularism in India are the problem of a uniform civil code. A uniform civil code is essential in the direction of bringing about national identity and integration of the members of all religious communities into one bond of common citizenship. Following independence, it was hoped that this step would be taken to user in the secular society. But unfortunately, till now, no progress has been made in the evolution of a uniform civil code, and today its adoption appears to be more problematic than it was at the time of when the constitution was adopted. Thus, the Muslim minority compelled the government in 1986 to enact legislation concerning maintenance of divorced women, which it felt was closer to its personal law and therefore religiously more acceptable. Modern secular considerations and the opinion of those Muslims who took a secular position were given no cognizance by the government. Similarly, other minorities like Christian, Sikhs too have given some indications that would render the formulation and enforcement of a uniform civil code an impossibility. Such limitations indicate that the path leading to a truly secular society in India is marked by the presence of numerous hurdles. Another challenge to secularism in India is the linkage between politics and religion. The political parties in India have tended to use religion and caste factor for the promotion of their political interest and thus greatly undermine the secular values. The growing communalism has also greatly hampered the growth of genuine secularism in India. Despite abandonment of communal electorates and a ban on the use of religion for soliciting votes, the various political parties and groups have frequently made use of communal factors to get into power. In this regard, both the minorities as well as majority communities are equally to be blamed. Unless this feeling of communalism is eliminated and rejected, secularism cannot take firm roots in the Indian soil. Another challenge to secularism in India is the failure of the government in evolving a just economic order. The failure of the government to evolve a just economic order and eliminate poverty also gave a serious setback to secularism. The common mass suffering from deprivation and poverty couldn't develop any faith in the polity which failed to provide them basic necessities and consequently did not attach much importance to secular values. Again, another challenge to secularism in India is communal violence. India has witnessed several instances of communal violence, often between Hindus and Muslims, such as the 2002 Gujarat riots or the 1984 anti-Sikh riots. These incidents strained social relations and erode the idea of a peaceful, secular society. Sometimes such violence is incited or exacerbated by the political forces, making it harder to achieve lasting communal harmony. Another challenge to secularism in India is the minority group perceptions. Apart from education and jobs, prejudice and discrimination are perceived as operating in the matter of intergroup violence and conflict. There is now ample evidence to show that at the times the administrative machinery of the state does not operate impartially at the time of communal riot. Those responsible for ensuring laws and order act in a non-secular way and tend to victimize members of the minority groups. The minorities are in fear of the majority, which has the brute strength to overpower them and reject them of their distinctive characteristics. Furthermore, loyalties continues to be particularistic rather than universalistic. Another challenge to secularism in India is defective educational system. The defective educational system, which has encouraged people to think in terms of group and communities, has also failed to inculcate secular ideas in the minds of young students and promote the feeling of mutual give and take. Again, one very important or prominent challenge to secularism in India is distortion of constitutional and democratic institutions. Distortion of the constitutional and democratic institutions has also greatly contributed to the weakening of the secularism in India. The constitution and the political institutions have not worked the way they were envisaged by the framers of the constitution. For example, though the use of religion is not permitted for soliciting votes, yet certain political parties have made free use of factors like religion, caste, etc. All these have hampered the growth of a true secular polity in the country. Another challenge to secularism in India is social media and religious polarization. In recent years, social media has aggravated the spread of religious hatred and divisive narratives, often involving inflammatory statements and misinformation. The digital space has amplified the existing societal divides, leading to increased religious polarization, which in turn affect public policy, inter-community relationship, and the secular fabric of the country. Rise of religious nationalism is another challenge to secularism in India. In recent decades, religious nationalism, especially Hindu nationalism, has been on the rise. This ideology promotes that India should be a Hindu-centric state, and it often conflicts with the secular ideals incorporated in the constitution. Advocates of Hindutva see secularism as a Western concept that doesn't suit India's cultural and historical reality, which contributes to the erosion of the secular framework. Learners, now let's have a look on the present condition of secularism in India. In spite of the fact that secularism is one of the essential elements in the basic structure of the constitution, religious feelings not only govern our mode of thinking but get reflected in our politics and public administration, participation in religious function, and asking for votes in the name of religion. Many political parties use religion to come to power. While professing secularism, vote banks systematically built on the basis of religion and caste. Every political party claims that it is the only secular party in India, pointing out that it takes care of the minorities better than the others. To prove their point, such parties try to implement different laws to different people, resulting in a crisis where groups gravitate to their own communities and create dissatisfaction among others. What is required is some unifying system that everyone can agree on so that it can treat all the people on an equal basis. There has to be a system of law that is fair to all the sections of the people without showing any kind of biasness. A secular state India, as conceived by the Constitution, was not an exclusively political intellectual construct, but is reflected the social and cultural reality of Indian society. Being alive to the social reality, Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru attached great importance to communal harmony for the survival of secularism in India. For secularism to survive, there must be a common principle to tolerance, and this demands a secular polity. Politics means solving people's problem through a government. Under a properly functioning secular government, people can have their problems of food, comfort, or security solved easily. But interference of the religious belief and spiritual consideration with the functions of a government spoils the purpose. So learners, in this video, we have analyzed Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru's views on secularism. We have also examined various factors that pose threat to secular fabric of the nation. While summing up, in this unit number 10 of the MOOC on social and political philosophy, we have analyzed the concept of secularism both from theoretical perspective as well as various issues associated with the concept in Indian context. I do hope that all these 3 videos have helped you in acquiring detailed understanding and knowledge of the concept. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you.